The Bengals held him to 77.9 as a quarterback rating this year, and this is probably the most important part, they finally beat him! Welcome to the jungle, Bengals fans. I'm Kyle Phelps, and we did it! We're back to 500. That's the standard now. It kind of sucks that that's the standard, right? Because after going to the Super Bowl last year, you'd think, the expectations should be higher. But it's a new season this year, so we have to work with the parameters that we actually have in front of us right now. Before we get into breaking it all down and figuring out what it all means, though, I just ask that you like the video and subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying the content. It helps my channel grow, and it helps you know when I put out all of my content. Before I start, I just want to shout out the Bengals defense a little bit. I've been getting slammed a lot lately for being too critical on the defense when the offense is obviously the bigger problem. My whole point, though, is that bad days are going to happen on offense. Like, even when the offense gets everything together, which I'm sure they will, and now they have, even then, they're gonna have bad days on offense. It happened last year. There were games like the Titans game where the offense just couldn't get together, and you had to rely on the defense to put a game away. And they just haven't been putting those games away this year, and that concerns me. Like, it's not a championship caliber team if you can't win games on defense too. But importantly, they did it this week, and that's why we're back to 3-3. I pride myself in always being fair and honest. So the defense stepped up when it mattered, and I will be the first one to come on here and admit that they did the damn thing. But they got absolutely gashed for 6.7 yards per carry on the ground this week. I will say, though, the Bengals finally found a way to win, despite the offense getting off to a slow start this week, again, and the defense being prone to let teams march all over them, again. But they pulled it together this week. I don't know if that had something to do with playing in front of that familiar Louisiana crowd, but Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase found a way to get into a rhythm, even though the defense wasn't getting off the field a whole lot. It culminated in a 300-yard passing performance from Joe Burrow with 3 touchdown passes, 1 touchdown run, and 0 interceptions, as well as a 132-yard, 2-touchdown performance from Jamar Chase. That obviously highlighted by his 60-yard go-ahead touchdown catch at the 2-minute warning at the end of the game. That was absolutely huge. Now, a big key for me in this one is that the offensive line continues to look much improved. I mean, there are a few big miscues that do need to really get cleaned up, like when Ted Karras pushed his assignment onto Cordell Volson, and the rookie completely lost control of his block, and that led to the second of 2 sacks in a row on a 4th down drive that was really critical. Although I do have to shout out La'el Collins, who's been taking a lot of shit lately. He went up against Cam Jordan this week, who's one of the league's best pass rushers, and you didn't really hear his name called out at all. That was more of the type of performance that we were expecting out of the man who we paid $21 million to. But despite all that, despite all the criticisms, let's take a minute to celebrate the Bengals breaking another curse this week. That is the curse of, for whatever reason, being totally unable to beat Andy Dalton since his unceremonious departure from the team after the 2019 season. Dalton posted over a 100 quarterback rating in each of his 2 games against the Bengals before this one. That's 2020 against the Cowboys and 2021 against the Bears. Kind of feels like he's been following the Bengals by picking a team every year that is playing against them. The Bengals held him to 77.9 as a quarterback rating this year, and this is probably the most important part, they finally beat him! Like, the fact that they were 0-2 against him during the Joe Burrow era, obviously one of those games didn't involve Joe Burrow, but it's still a huge problem. 1-2 isn't great, but I'll take it over 0-3. Like, I was terrified about the idea. Oh my god, we're about to be 0-3 against Andy Dalton. I can't handle that. Andy Dalton's my boy, and according to Tom Grossi...
That might be Andy Dalton's son.
Which I'm not, but I take that as a compliment. But at the same time, that is my boy. But I don't like being 0-3 against him, or the idea of being 0-3 against him. So they're back at 500 on the season now. They're 3-3, and the playoff odds are basically back to dead even at 50%. It helps that the Ravens and Browns both lost, but with last week's loss to the Ravens still looming very large, that tiebreaker is still in their favor. So the Bengals are tied for first place, but with the tiebreaker, they're currently in second place. But, you know, quite honestly, they might as well be a whole game behind because that tiebreaker as a head-to-head matchup can be so critical in these very close division races. The AFC North is not a very good division this year. But somebody's got to win it, and it's going to come down to the wire, and if it comes down to the wire, tiebreakers like that are going to be huge. Their upcoming schedule, though, does seem to be somewhat in their favor, with the Falcons coming to town next week, then you got the Browns, Panthers, Steelers, and Titans, all teams that are looking very beatable right now. But that's all I got for this one, guys. Let me know what you think about what you saw from the Bengals in the comments below, and I'll feature the best one in my next video. Like this one from a day, sort of, who said, Burrows is not a good QB. He got pushed last year for attendance goals in Cincy. Other teams must be boosted this year to keep folks coming into the stadiums. Understand? Okay, so I'm sorry, guys. I lied. This is obviously a trash take, and I've got a feeling this guy's probably trolling. But I appreciate everybody who comments. So, I mean, if you're like a new commenter, I want to give you like, you know, a bit of a platform to show you I appreciate everybody who comments, even if you're an idiot and an asshole and probably a troll, right? But I'm going to respond to it. I'm going to take it very seriously here for a second. Are you high? First of all, it's Burrow, not Burrows. Stop it. There's no S at the end of his name. There's never been an S at the end of his name. Take the time to learn the man's damn name. Especially, like, I mean, I get, like, you know, like slipping in your speech sometimes, and that's just the way you talk. But, like typing, it's very easy. Just, oh, there's an S. There's not an S in that name. Backspace. It's not that fucking hard. Second of all, that is a really stupid take. Even with all of his struggles this year, he's got the 5th most passing yards in the NFL so far this year, the 4th most passing touchdowns, and he's only thrown 1 interception since week 2. Like, you gotta be smoking something potent to think that Joe Burrow isn't a good QB. I'm sorry, but that's a trash take. Like, you can talk about the Bengals all you want, but Joe Burrow is a fantastic QB, and everybody with a brain in their skull knows that and admits that. He's still one of the best this year, and that's despite underperforming. Like, this is the first week that everybody's been like, that was a great performance from Joe Burrow, and he's still one of the best in the NFL. So fuck out of here with that bullshit. Like, honestly. Also, a final shout out to Tom Grossi, who rated my channel on Sunday Night Football last week and basically doubled my subscriber count. I'm a tiny little channel. I'm trying to one day, you know, grow to be a big one. But stuff like that, you love seeing the big creators give back to the small creators, right? I've always been a huge fan of his. I'm a member of his channel, and now he's sending that love back. And you absolutely love to see it. I look forward to continuing to growing myself and maybe even catching him one day. I mean, that's a lofty goal, but, you know, maybe. We'll see. But until then, y'all can always catch me at KylePhelps92 on Twitter, Facebook.com/ThePhelps, ATBNetwork.com, the Battle of Ohio podcast, which is on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts, and right here if you subscribe. But that's all I got for this one, guys. I'll leave y'all, as always, with a hootie!